So you're the chairman now.
I'm so used to
Can't
seconding.
do anything now.
I can't do anything? Okay.
You didn't know that part when we nominated you, did you?
Okay. Do we have a second?
I took it.
Okay. All those in favor, are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Dr. Stan Ball for vice chairman, please raise your right hand. Okay. Now we do the appointment of clerk and deputy clerk. Mrs. Strayer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Alker. Annually, the school board names a clerk for the school board, as well as a appointment of a designee in case the clerk is unable to attend the meeting, known as the deputy clerk. So this year, I recommend that the board appoint Mrs. Leslie Brittle for another year as the one-year term as the clerk, and Ms. Monica Hatchett as the one-year term for the deputy clerk.
Okay.
So
Motion.
moved.
Okay,
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. The next should be the school board meeting schedule.
Yes, sir. Virginia code requires that the school board hold its meetings and have an organizational meeting to establish when our regular meetings will be for the next year. So typically, we have presented the same calendar tonight to you all that mirrors what we've done in the past, where we will have our meetings the first Thursday of each month. Some meetings in the day begin at 9 a.m. and other meetings at night begin at 6 p.m. Generally, meetings are held in this room, the Summerlin room, and we adjourn from the boardroom upstairs. So the dates in front of you are for the calendar year for 2020. I will note that the meeting in July is scheduled for the second Thursday because of the Independence Day holiday, as well as in July, you see the July 23rd meeting at 8 a.m., which is our typical date for a retreat in the summer.
Okay. Need a motion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. The next is the appointment of the superintendent designee to attend meetings of the board in the case of the superintendent's absence or inability to attend. Mrs. Strayer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Virginia Code also requires that we name a designee in my absence, as you said, to attend meetings, and it is recommended that Assistant Superintendent Mr. David Scott be approved as my designee to attend meetings for this purpose.
So move.
Second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. The next is the adoption of code of conduct for school board members, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, also the VSBA recognizes the Code of Conduct for school board members, and we first adopted this in 2003. And after the initial adoption, the VSBA suggests that annually at our organizational meeting that we have the board members sign the Code of Conduct. So it is recommended that the board take action on the adoption of the Code of Conduct for school board members.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those that are opposed, it's unanimous. Okay. The approval of the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Unanimous. I'm kind of a little nervous here, just, you know. But I would like to welcome you to the meeting this evening. It is good to see you. I hope you had a great Christmas and the new year was the tops. So we have a lot of work to do in this coming year. And we need to knuckle down and get that work completed. So guests, thank you for coming. And we hope that while you're here, you will be enlightened with the work that we do. At this time, Mr. Martin, would you do the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Okay, and I'll do the invocation. Would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. God, we just ask you this evening that as we come together for the school board of Henry County, that you would give us wisdom and understanding to help, to nurture, to care for the students that are under our control. Amen. At this time is public comment. We have one person, two persons who have signed up to do public comment, and I will read the instructions so we all understand. This is the time for public comment. That means we are here to listen to you, not to engage in a question and answer period or a debate. Upon arrival at the podium, please state your name, your subject matter, and the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you have agreed that you will exhibit respect for the board and its members, as well as the staff and students of Henry County Public Schools. You will receive the same consideration from the board. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Mrs. Dorothy Carter.
I'm Dorothy Carter. I'm president of the Henry County Education Association, and I live in the Reed Creek District. I am speaking to you on behalf of HCEA tonight. January is a time when we make resolutions. Some people make resolutions anyway. And I want to tell you that our members have resolved, not just in January, but at the beginning of the year, we resolved to do the best we can for the children every day, whether that's driving a school bus, fixing a meal, cleaning the buildings, paraprofessional, aiding teachers in some way, clerical staff, administrative staff, and teachers. All of us, that's who we are. We resolve to do the best we can. We would ask our school board tonight to resolve to do the best you can for us. We not only do the best we can for the kids educationally, but January 27th is Lobby Day. And I know we're all disappointed. I know some of you are disappointed in the governor's budget, as we are too, and we will be addressing that. There's already a large rally again planned like last year. There were over 3,000 teachers there. Lisa Eanes and I represented people there. We have 4 people who are planning to go up this coming year to represent. We will be heard. I don't know if they will change what they'll do or not, but boy, I hope so. We're not happy. We're not only going to be working on fixing the budget for education K through 12, we're also going to be talking with key people about collective bargaining. This is something that has been too long gone from the state, and it needs to happen. If we had that, we wouldn't have nearly half the problems that we're having. So as we make these resolutions to do what we can for our kids educationally and to meet the needs, I'm asking this school board to resolve to correct our salary scale. It is not correct. It says we're all 3 steps behind. I don't believe that. I'm only 2 steps behind. I'll tell you that if my salary's wrong, fix it. Take it back out of me. Make it right. I'm pretty sure that people from 16 up are 2 steps behind. The worst part about all of this is it's been happening for 7 to 8 years, and that's not okay. I have been asking since August for people to find out where people are supposed to be And frankly, I'm a little discouraged. I'm a little disappointed. That hasn't happened yet. When you still don't know that we're not all on the same step. I'm asking you to resolve to fix that problem. I'm asking you to resolve to put everyone on step where they belong. Our teachers give 100 and 200% every day. Our educators do the best they can every day. And I'm asking you to give back to them. They deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carter. Our next speaker is Mr. Curtis Milner.
I'm Curtis Milner from the Laurel Park community, which is in the Irishwood District of Henry County. A few of you, one of you is still here from when I first came on the school board. And back then, there was an article in the paper about they could tell when I got upset because I'd stick a toothpick in my mouth. Stick a toothpick in my mouth tonight. I'm a little upset. A few years ago, when I decided not to run for the school board again, I thought I'd go home and sit down and just relax like everybody else. But my wife had a different idea. She engaged me with Grace Network to go around to the schools and pick up the excess food, take it back to the Grace Network for distribution. And that's when an old problem surfaced, and that's why I'm here tonight. It's the George Washington Carver cafeteria. The school has been remodeled a couple of times from when it was first built back in the 50s. I went there in 1954 and graduated in 60. The cafeteria has not changed. The kitchen area is the smallest kitchen area of any of the schools that we have in the district. It's been that way for over 70 years. It's to the point now that when new cafeteria equipment is brought in, there's no place to put it, so it's put out, kitchen equipment is brought in, it's put out in the cafeteria. So what happens in the cafeteria? The tables are put out in the hallway. This is bad. You know, I grew up in a time here in Henry County when we had separate but equal schools. One of the things that I strive for when I was on the school board is that all of our children had equal for everything that Henry County had to offer. The students at George Washington Carver Elementary School do not have equal access to a cafeteria, nor do the workers in the kitchen have an equal access to a kitchen area to work in. I ask you all to please look into that. When I was on the school board, we had a list of things, priorities. 2 years ago, that cafeteria had moved up to number 3. But since I've been gone, it's dropped off the radar. I ask you all to please look at that. Those children deserve the same as all of the rest of our children as far as a place to eat. Those cafeteria workers deserve the same as all of our schools as a place to work, a decent place to work. I ask you all to look at that. Ms. Stalker, congratulations. It's no easy job. I did it for 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have to leave because I have another meeting. But I hope you all will carefully consider and put that cafeteria back on the list. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milner. Our next item of business is awards and recognition. Mrs. Hatchett.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. A previous edition of this evening's agenda had student recognitions listed, but as our students are still on holiday until next week, we are deferring that until a later meeting. But tonight, we do want to recognize that during the month of January, the state of Virginia recognizes the third week of the month as School Principal Appreciation Week. We want to call that attention to our community and to you all so that you have the opportunity to express your gratitude to our principals for the great things they do for our staff and students every day. Unfortunately, the governor's resolution or proclamation for that has not come out for 2020 yet. So the edition I'm reading is last year's, but it is expected to have similar language to the one that will come out in the next 2 weeks for the current year for 2020. Whereas School principals work cooperatively to direct, develop, and inspire all members of the school staff and student body, and to communicate effectively with parents to engage them in the learning process. And whereas principals serve as educational leaders responsible for managing the policies, regulations, and procedures necessary to ensure a safe and effective learning environment for all students in Virginia's public and private schools, and whereas principals and teachers are entrusted with the opportunity and the responsibility of guiding, directing, nurturing, mentoring, and imparting knowledge to our children while they are at school, and whereas principals must work collaboratively with teachers, staff, students, parents, and the community at large to proactively prepare students to be self-reliant and productive citizens. And whereas Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week is an opportunity to recognize the hard work of Virginia school principals and to recognize the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a quality education, now therefore, I, Ralph S. Northam, do hereby recognize, and the dates for this month will be January 19th through the 25th, 2020. As Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. We hope that you'll take the opportunity as you have the chance this month, or especially that week if you're available, to stop in and let our principals know how much you appreciate all they do.
Thank you. We now move on to the information agenda. Ms. Milner is going to explain to us the Inspire 2025 update.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Today I would like to give you an update of our strategic plan, Inspire 2025. As you know, our strategic plan drives everything that we do. When we make decisions, we refer back to our strategic plan to make sure that we're in alignment. All of our team leaders are present tonight to answer any additional questions that you may have after my presentation. Henry County Public Schools provides our diverse community of learners with meaningful educational experiences that prepare them for a successful future. We inspire learners to positively impact their world. In the area of high-quality instruction, some of the accomplishments that we've had in 2019 are: we incorporated Khan Academy to improve math and English MAP scores as well as SAT scores. We adopted a new digital English textbook as a resource for teachers in grades K through 12. We implemented our writing units of study and writer's workshop in the middle school. We also implemented Discovery Education, STEM formation at FC Middle School. We added the monitoring component of the Elevations program for English learners, and our student performance in math increased overall in all of our gap groups. Some of our plans for 2020 are to implement common formative assessments in English grades 3 through 12, to create new science pacing guides with the release of the updated science framework from the Virginia Department of Education, to adopt a new science textbook as a resource for teachers in grades K through 12. We also plan to implement a cybersecurity pathway at the Career Academy. All of our academic and career plans will be digital using Major Clarity. And also, students at the Career Academy will have a job shadowing experience in the community. In the area of high-quality professionals, some accomplishments that we've had in this area is we developed a communication program and video to help explain employee benefits and health benefit changes. We also developed and implemented new performance evaluation instruments for central office and classified support staff, and completed all of our evaluations electronically via Talent Ed Perform. We implemented new electronic orientation videos and programs for substitutes and new teachers. We selected a new broker, benefits broker, and worked to develop new electronic weekly file transfers for benefit enrollments. We also moved to an electronic version of the principal's interview toolkit. Some plans for this area are to develop a recruiting video, to develop a welcome video for new employees, to revamp the teacher job fair recruitment efforts. We also plan to administer a classified salary and satisfaction survey and to develop strategies to address classified priorities. We also plan to develop 2020-2021 salary recommendations and to implement employee benefit self-enrollment. In the area of safe and innovative learning environment, some of our accomplishments are as follows. We revised the teacher emergency handbook for all of our schools. We installed security roller shades for use during emergencies at all of our schools. We have safety drills with the central office staff. We also increased our security surveillance coverage at Mount Olivet, Rich Acres, and Stanleytown. We upgraded to handheld radios for mass notification at both high schools. And we installed new signs with consistent school rules at each site. Some plans in this area for 2020 are to upgrade handheld radios at both of our middle schools, to increase security surveillance coverage at Drury Mason and Axton Elementary, to renovate the Media Center at Rich Acres, and also to install a new elevator at Fieldo Collinsville Middle School to meet our ADA concerns. We also plan to install a new car rider loop driveway at Law Park to improve safety. We also plan to install new floor tile in both middle schools' dining rooms and to continue to upgrade handheld radios as funding is available to assist with our mass notification systems in each school. Our final area is family and community engagement. Our accomplishments are that we revamped our family park events to include community partners at major high school athletic events for greater parental interaction. We also implemented new survey software system for enhanced function and ease of use for school community members. We increased our Coats for Kids donations and distributions by 10%, and we enhanced staff resource offerings by including video resources for on-demand information sharing and review. Some plans in this area for 2020 are to offer a video bank of resources for families, as well as to formalize additional community partnerships for each school and solicit additional volunteers through the local religious community. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for that update.
Anyone have any questions?
Well, I can make a comment,
Sure.
in particular with family and community, and I noticed this, I guess in our last mailing, one of the things that we learned at our last conference, and the speaker, the last day, how we use family when we address our community, and that a lot of our family members aren't necessarily parents or grandparents. So to start communicating to our constituents the term family, like the Law Park family, for an example, on our information that we sent out, or the Fieldo Collinsville family or families, to be all inclusive. So I've noticed that on our letterhead a lot of times, and things that we send out, I'm seeing that, which kind of reminds me and reinforces the whole idea of what this gentleman, I can't remember, the speaker at the last, at the breakfast.
Dr. Steve Constantine.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Getting more and more engaged in the family aspect if we want our students to be more successful in school. So I like that piece that we've added.
Yes, sir. Monica Hatchett, Ms. Hatchett has done an excellent job with that, leading us in that direction as well.
Right. Mhm.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes for December 12th meeting, approval of payment for bills, and approval of overnight and out-of-state field trip requests. Does anybody have any questions of those items?
And
Move.
approval of the budget as well, yeah.
And just for clarification, there's a fourth item under there.
Approval of revised budget
It might
calendar.
not be on yours. 'cause
Okay.
you've got it on there.
There's been some changes on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the 4 items of consent as presented.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, the next is the action agenda. Mrs. Hatchett, you have the school calendar.
As you know, in December, I shared with you that we have surveyed staff, students, family members, and community members about preferences regarding the draft school calendar for the coming school year. And we presented a final draft for consideration to our staff, which offered the option of what they said was a preferred Wednesday start. However, it meant that our December holiday would begin at a very close proximity to the traditional Christmas holiday. And then an alternate option, which begins school on a Monday, but begins that winter break a little bit earlier. And our staff overwhelmingly denoted that they preferred the draft that's in front of you. We have been calling it Draft A. It's the Monday start for the school year and allows for the end of that first semester to be on December 18th, which is a Friday, rather than going into that week of the traditional Christmas holiday and ending on the 22nd of December. The second semester is the same for both versions that our staff was presented. So tonight, I'm here to ask for your approval for a calendar for the coming school year.
Anybody have any questions?
I believe you said it was like 90% were in favor of draft A.
Yes, sir. We had quite a few votes, probably more votes on anything as far as a survey goes than I've seen in quite some time. Draft A, the Monday start, which is the one in front of you, had 1,020 votes. Draft B had 96 votes. So it's a pretty stark difference. And just as also a side note, our surrounding school divisions with whom we collaborate, Pittsylvania County, Danville City, and Martinsville, are all exploring that Monday start option.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. Okay. All those in favor of the 2020-2021 school calendar, please raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item will be the proposed revisions to the school board policies and regulations. Mrs.
Good
Lehman.
evening. I shared with you at last month's meeting proposed policy revisions for several of our policies. The revisions reflect efforts to bring policies and regulations into compliance with new or existing laws. You've had a month to review them, and I wanted to see if you had any additional questions with regards to those. If not, policy revisions are being presented for approval at this time by the school board.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Do I hear a motion to?
Move for approval.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gravely, a second by Mr. Martin. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Boone is next on the agenda. And this is appropriation of additional funds to facilities. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Per the joint resolution between the Henry County Board of Supervisors and the School Board of Henry County Public Schools, the school division is requesting the reappropriation of $939,997 of unexpended school funds from the FY 2019 budget. The reappropriation of the FY 2019 unexpended funds or carry forward balance is requested to help cover the cost for the following projects: Bassett High School roof project, items listed in the capital improvement plan. It is recommended that the school board approves an additional appropriation of $939,997 to fund the above-mentioned projects and forward to the Board of Supervisors for the appropriation per the joint resolution between Henry County Board of Supervisors and the school board. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to accept or approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay. Mrs. Strayer, Superintendent's monthly
I'm
highlights.
sorry, Mr. Alker, I know that you have an old agenda, so we actually, I can't see the screens, we're gonna work on that. Because you didn't know you were gonna have this job tonight, but actually, Mr. Scott, Keith Scott,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry,
David Scott.
Mr. David Scott, who's doing this? Yeah, David Scott? Mr. David Scott is on the agenda next
Okay.
for approval to purchase kitchen equipment.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The background for this, the steamers in our kitchens were purchased in 2009. Repairs are becoming more frequent and more expensive parts are needed as time goes by. Research has been done to select a placement that will negate the need for replacing double-stack convention ovens in the elementary schools when they need expensive repairs. Replacements for these 3 schools were purchased from Douglas Equipment as the lowest responsible bidder, and they agreed to hold this pricing for us with a 4th double-stack combi oven steamer for CCL, even though the Conrotherm, that's the manufacturer's name, increased their pricing January 1st, 2020. We have added $500, $250 for each oven to cover the additional cost of the 480-volt wiring. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of the new equipment for CCL under bid number 19-0723-3067 from Douglas Equipment Company of Bluefield, West Virginia, for the amount of $26,202.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now, dare I say, Mrs. Strayer?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, as always, any highlights that you have questions about or any reports that you have questions about, please ask, but we will start the highlights for this month.
Of Superintendent's Highlights features events from the month of December. In the area of high-quality instruction, students at Campbell Court recently took a field trip without ever having to leave the school. Students were given virtual reality goggles, which transported them directly to the ocean. Students oohed and awed as they studied the surrounding animals and learned about a totally new ecosystem. Students in 5th grade math class at Stanleytown were given a mission to escape a digital room. Teams of students used their knowledge of order of operations to solve clues to unlock digital locks to 5 doors in the room. The 5th graders had to work collaboratively and communicate with each other to escape before time ran out. Students in Ms. Cecil's 8th grade science class at FC completed their unit on electricity by making holiday cards that light up. They used copper tape, an LED, and a battery to make a circuit. When the circuit was closed, the face on a snowman would light up. The cards were distributed at a local rehabilitation center to patients who were in the center for the holiday season. Technology students at Laurel Park Middle School are developing and exhibiting computer science competencies using robots. Students built flipping gymnast robots that use circular forces of the weight of its motors to flip the robot around, and functional 3-speed transmissions that their robot had an operating clutch and a gear shifting mechanism. Creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking skills are all systems go with the Laurel Park Technology students. In the area of safe and innovative learning environments, GW Carver students recently enjoyed making edible trees as part of their PBIS incentive. Promoting kindness was the main focus for Mount Olivet Elementary's 3rd grade during the month of December. Students wrote daily about acts of kindness they witnessed or participated in.
Some of Samville's second grade students were rewarded for having perfect attendance during the month of December. They were able to participate in a collaboration of STEM activities. In the activities, students used marshmallows, toothpicks, wrapping paper, and cups to make a holiday treat. In the area of family and community engagement, Drury Mason Spartan Student Council members made no-sew blankets to be donated to a local hospice group and to Brenner's Children's Hospital for the holiday season. Youth in Motion students at Meadowview Elementary recently completed their community service project for the fall session by holding a supply drive for the SPCA in memory of their friend and teammate Lily Patterson. Students collected numerous items such as canned food, dog toys, and cleaning supplies, along with other items. The Magna Vista High School junior class sponsored Warrior Express in December. Area children enjoyed story time, making cookies, making a holiday ornament, and time with Santa. They each got to take a book home, and even the adults enjoyed visiting with Santa and the other characters. Students in industrial maintenance at Career Academy have been working in secret for the past 2 months on a special project that was recently delivered to State Superintendent of Instruction, Dr. James Lane. After visiting Career Academy in the spring, Dr. Lane mentioned he wished he had an original 1943 game like he played when he was younger. With a little help from Mr. Bird, who located a machine, students started working. A post on Twitter in October reminded Dr. Lane of the game, and he requested purchase of the machine. Students worked to complete the task prior to the holiday break by painting, fabricating new front glass, and rewiring the entire system. Center for Community Learning was recently awarded flags for classrooms by the Woodmen of America. On December 4th, EL families were invited to award students who had reached language proficiency according to the WIDA Access 2.0 test. Students who reached the state-mandated 4.4 level were given diplomas. Information was provided about the upcoming spring WIDA test as well as strategies on how to continue improving academic English. Magna Vista High School's National Honor Society competed recently against Martinsville High School students in Salvation Army's Battle of the Bells to benefit Salvation Army's Kettle Project during the month of December. As you can see, we are continuing to be inspired by the great things happening in our classrooms.
And I always have to comment on the game because Dr. Lane was so excited when he went to Career Academy to see all the phenomenal things that the students were doing. Because as always, people say like it's the best kept secret and they don't know, but it's wonderful. And he, I don't know if Mr. Minner helped deliver the game or he picked it up.
We were going to actually have students take it, but it was right there with SOLs and exams, so it didn't quite work out that way. So we had a moving company that was going to do it. That fell through for Dr. Lane, so actually Mr. Bird's brother and Mr. Bird worked it out, and they were able to deliver the game to him. So
He was very excited. So the state superintendent has one of the products from the Career Academy.
he does.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you. We need to approve all of the other things.
No, so it just matters from the board.
Okay, we need to approve matters from the board.
Sorry. No approval.
Okay.
Do we
Are there
have
any
matters
matters from the board?
Okay.
Well,
You have,
well, I'd just like to congratulate, Ms. Strayer and the entire staff. I visited the Teaching and Learning Conference today and talking with some of our new people to Henry County. They were really impressed with the division and how we, I guess if you will, conducted this teaching and learning conference. And I just thought maybe the board would like to know that. We were doing some good work. Talked to Ms. Hatchett about it and don't know if we're going to have an opportunity to do it for next year. Hopefully we can find some time in our calendar. But I was really impressed with with the work that we're doing.
I have to say thank you, Mr. Gravely, but, you know, all that work took place over the holidays, and so I appreciate the technology department for getting there and getting everybody ready, the people who were presenters, who worked over the holidays, and Ms. Hatchett, who organized and pretty much ran the event today, and a lot of people said that I needed to give Monica some time off because on Christmas Day she was emailing the schedules and all the things that she was doing over the break. Several people commented on that, but it did. We had a fabulous day today. We were very engaged with our teachers. Some things they really enjoyed, and there were some comments about additional things they would like and some things that they felt they might could do without. But we had a great speaker come in this morning and work with us from Initiative 1. If you recall that all the administrators had been through the Initiative 1 training, and he was our keynote and had sessions all day long. And we talked a lot about building relationships with each other as well as with our students, and the importance of knowing what our students are going through each day and understanding ourselves first to be able to make those relationships and do what's best for students.
Any other comments?
I'll make a quick one. I'm just going to say broadly, thank you to everyone for all of your calls, texts, emails, flowers, visits, attending of my dad's service from where he passed away about 2 weeks ago. Appreciate all the support and love you've all shown me. I hope that in any way I'm going to be able to repay that, and of course I'll be more individualized thanks and cards and things in the weeks ahead as I try to get out from under that. But I just wanted to say thank you for that, and as well as congratulations to Mr. Walker and Dr. Standby, and thank you all, and hope you had a great start to a Happy New Year.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year and a very prosperous New Year.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to introduce our news folks this evening,
Mrs. Hatchett, I think.
please?
I'm very pleased to say they're not just news folks. I call them my friends. Representing the Martinsville Bulletin, Kim Meeks. And Kim is not a stranger to the Bulletin. She worked at the Bulletin for some time, took a break, actually forayed into education, so we might try to snag her somewhere along the way. And then she went to the Enterprise and is now back at the Bulletin. And her colleague at the Enterprise is Brandon Martin. So if you have not already had a chance to meet them personally, please make sure you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also think that Monica should get a raise. She's amazing. She's working and helping us out.
That's right.
I would like to see some teleprompters up here because
They used to work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask, because I couldn't see the presentation,
These don't,
and I was a little,
they used to, they're not ours. We'll talk.
Any other matters from the board? Would like to remind you of some dates. So January 16th is public hearing to receive input on the 2021 budget. This will be at 6, and I believe that is a Thursday, if I remember correctly. You also notice there's some school activities going on, like all-area band performance, which will be at Martinsville. Our next monthly meeting is February the 6th, and that will be 9 o'clock in the morning. And then we have a joint budget work session with the school board and board of supervisors on February 25th at 5 p.m. And then there's a couple conferences that are coming up. The Capitol Conference in January, the 13th to the 14th. I think every time I've gone to that, it has snowed, you know. And then the NSBA Annual Conference in Chicago.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As we go through this presentation, it's just kind of, to me, it's kind of unique that we're talking about FY 2021 next school year, and we're trying to get used to saying 2020. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between what the be as detailed as possible when I'm talking about specific years. And anytime you have any questions, please let me know. First of all, an overview of the presentation tonight. We're going to review our current budget and recent adjustments at the state level. We're going to review Henry County Public Schools strategic plan and budget priorities. We have a brief summary of the governor's proposed budget and amendments to the FY 2020 budget for state-funded programs, introduction to feedback provided by schools and departments, and review of upcoming budget meetings. And as I talk about the governor's proposed budget, the General Assembly is going to convene January 8th. So if anybody was wondering when that was going to be. Our current budget, with the amendments that were put out there by the state, this is the budget that we're in right now, that we're living in the 2019-2020 school year. Because of the fluctuation in enrollment and various amendments to the governor's budget, we have resulted in a net loss of $676,476 in state funding for this year's current school year. The projected ADM was at 7,024. For the March ADM, average daily membership, it was 6,975, and that's the number that they made the amendments by. So we actually have a loss for this current budget of $676,000. The average daily membership is currently above the Virginia Department of Education's projection for our division. For right now, as of the last December report, our average daily membership was 7,000 and I think approximately 2 students. So it is about 25 more than this, and that's fluctuated from November till December as well. State-funded basic aid per pupil is $5,794, but this doesn't include the incentive funds that we get throughout the year and different grants and things like that. This is just purely state funds that we get per pupil. The standards of quality programs, because of the budget amendments for this current school year, decreased by $383,000 based on the updated March ADM. This is basically comprised mostly of basic aid, which is about $300,000 for this category. Our incentive programs increased by $373,000. And our incentive programs, they include the special ed regional program. So we actually thought we were going to take a loss there for funding. So we actually received more funding for that special ed regional grant. Categorical programs increased $38,000. That's an increase in special ed homebound services. But lottery fund programs decreased by $704,000. And in those lottery funds, we also have some other at-risk programs, class size reduction, the regional program, alternative education program. So some of those funds are comprised of those at-risk lottery funds. But overall, with the budget amendments, we are taking a hit of over $600,000. So again, the adjustments resulted in $676,000 being decreased overall from this current school year budget. The carry funds in the amount of $939,997 from FY 2019, last year's school budget, are being requested for appropriation use in the FY 2020 budget for capital projects such as the Bassett Roof Project and the George Washington Carver cafeteria and kitchen project. So that is on the capital improvement list. The process of creating a spend down list will begin in earnest in February of 2020. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Schauffer. Did anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Boone. So as Dr. Boone said, right now we've seen the governor's proposed budget and that there's still to be seen potential adjustments to that. We are going to take a look forward to 2021. And we begin that by going back to our of Supervisors always gives more than what they're required to give. So that also could be misleading to say that they're gonna have to give us $1 million more. They already give us that several times over. So the real thing we need to look at here is that the increase in state funding is hopefully going to stay around $3.4 million. Some of the things that maybe not as a parent here, as you look at this slide here with the incentive programs, the compensation supplement, in last year's budget, in the budget we're in right now, the governor had set aside $1.7 million to accomplish a 3.5% increase for SOQ funded positions. It has been advertised that there's going to be a 3% increase in those same positions in this biennium. However, that doesn't come in until the second year of the biennium. So there are no funds set aside in 2021 to do that. So any kind of raises that we give, we're going to have to do within the constraints of the budget without having that compensation supplement dropped in there this year. The governor's budget also proposes a higher contribution from the employer into VRS. That's gone up by almost a full percentage point. That's going to have an impact on us. And that's something that we can certainly budget for. There's a little bit of bad news, I think, coming on the next slide that will tie into that a little bit. The governor's proposed budget also increases funding for school counselors, ESL programs, at-risk programs, and the Virginia Preschool Initiative. This is the other somewhat dark cloud here. Health insurance premiums. We have not been able to determine that rate yet. That's something that we, along with the county administrator, will be getting more information about that in February. That's going to have an impact. So some of the things when we think about paying a teacher, $40,000, $45,000 a year, there's additional cost to us as the employer, an increase in VRS, an increase in what we're going to be contributing to their health premiums. And as we state every year, capital improvement plans, there's always a challenge to make sure that we are finding money for those, that we're appropriately prioritizing things in our schools. And I know, speaking with Ms. Flanagan, one of the things that we want to draw attention to is that the Carver cafeteria kitchen project has not fallen off of our radar. That is still very much on our list, as well as the Bassett Group project, which I know is near and dear to many of us in this room. And then the other thing that factors into our fiscal year 2021 budget is fluctuations in enrollment. And as you saw in Dr. Green's slides, having a smaller number of students in our ADM compared to what the state had projected last year does come across as a deficit for us in our budget. However, this year we are trending a little bit higher, and we're hopeful that to recoup some of those fundings in the upcoming budget. This is where I turn back to Dr. Duke. And that's as well.
For the budget priorities from schools and departments, we want to sustain funding for capital outlay, like Mr. Scott said, the roof project at Bassett High School, and the kitchen and cafeteria project at George Washington Elementary School. For our instructional operation needs, we budgeted, we're planning on budgeting for 2 elementary school teachers, 2 English language teachers, a preschool teacher at Law Park, and cybersecurity teacher. Some other funding needs, looking at next year's budget, is funding the GoTech program, the Discovery Education program at FC Middle School, additional funding for substitute teachers, new camera systems for our school buses, and technology, our one-on-one initiative. Other major budget priorities for us are our salaries, pending available funding. We're looking at ways that we can give step increases for all full-time employees and licensed staff, step or scale increases for classified positions, percentage increase for employees on an open range scale, and hourly and rate increases for bus drivers, school nutrition staff, PAL in-house tutors, substitute teachers, and substitute secretaries as well. And
Yeah, good.
And I will state for the record, it's a little part PE teacher, but I know y'all saw that, but just in case somebody's listening to our taped version.
No, I'm sorry, I'm the captain. One thing that we want to state about the adjustments to the budget calendar, the budget calendar that was put in front of you back in August, we didn't realize at that time that our special meeting, the late March meeting to approve the budget, that would have been after the Board of Supervisors needs that vote from you to approve the superintendent's estimated needs. So we've had to juggle some of the things, and our target now to have the budget in front of you for approval will be the regular meeting on March 5th. Hoping that we can have everything signed, sealed, and delivered on that date. And as a contingency plan, on March 19th, the evening of our Teacher of the Year banquet, we reserved a room at Chat Moss prior to the start of that, if we have to drop back from that March 5th meeting to approve everything. That's an adjustment that we want to make sure was clear on that calendar, and the reason for it being, we kind of got, we would be coming in too late for the Board of Supervisors there. Are there any questions about the budget calendar or any part of this?
Just for the record, I want to make sure too that the GW Carbon cafeteria project is not off the radar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any questions?
Not a question, John. Agree completely with Mr. Gravely, though I know full well, the importance of the Bass Group project to me, but aside from that, 88 at FC, Carver's kitchen cafeteria is certainly up there for me as well. And then the only other thing I'll point out, since Mr. Walker pointed out the degree to which it snows the Capitol Conference out, the January 16th meeting, it's generally been snowed on, and you either had to cancel or move it, or we've had it, and very few people came because of the snow. So if that's any kind of indication,